Hello, my name is Samantha Rico, and today I'm going to be talking about a subject that I feel affects a lot of youth and adults. Nowadays, you hear about people being very stressed. There's just about work, there's just about school, there's just about life at home, and everything in between. Anxiety has become a word that is very common to hear. Why is this an important subject for you to learn about? You might know someone who has anxiety, or someone who, or maybe you're the one that has suffered or been affected by it in the past. My best friend uh, suffers from anxiety. She cries uncontrollably, she hyperventilates, and she gets herself in a situation where sometimes we can't even talk her out of it. I believe that a lot of young adults nowadays are affected with anxiety because of the way that our society is. We are made to believe that we need to look a certain way, we need to earn a certain amount of money to be successful, and we care more about what the media says and what is going on social media than reality and what we think of ourselves. With my speech today, I hope that you guys can learn to notice the symptoms, learn what can happen when anxiety isn't treated, and what are some of the ways that you can prevent it. So let's look at the facts. What is anxiety? Anxiety is a abnormal behavior that is characterized by uncontrollable fear. Who is affected by anxiety today? Well, anxiety doesn't discriminate. It affects anyone and everyone. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, an estimated 36.9% of adolescents has had an anxiety disorder, and anxiety is more common in women than in men. Sometimes it's even like double the percentage. Now that you know the facts, let's talk about some of the symptoms. Some of the symptoms could be dizziness, insomnia, you feel restless, rapid heartbeat, your heartbeat feels like it's going to pop, or your heart feels like it's going to pop out of your chest. You might develop headaches, and all of these like symptoms just make it harder for you on an everyday on your everyday basis. Why do people develop disorders? So according to some learning theorists, Hollander and Simeon, anxiety disorders generally are developed by conditioning and social learning. So what that means is like maybe it happened so much that you got conditioned to fear something. So maybe when you were little, every time you were fed something, like your dog would do something, or let's say that, okay, no, hold on. Like a spider. Let's say that when you were little, a spider fell on top of you, and you didn't realize that it was harmless, but because of that event, every time you see a spider, you think of that uncomfortable feeling, and it led to fear. Another thing could be like traumatic events. say that you got in a really bad accident, like a bad car accident, and every time you are about to drive, you think about that. Like maybe that can happen to you, and that just makes you worried. And maybe at times it gets so bad that you can't even drive yourself. Um, you can also get anxiety from stress. Maybe at work you have a lot of things to do, and maybe you feel like you don't have enough time to do it, and it just builds up, and it builds up to the point where you just explode. Um, what can what can anxiety lead up to if you don't treat it? It could lead to other psychological disorders like depression. It could lead to substance abuse. Maybe you'll get into hard drugs. It could also lead to illnesses, um, because when you're stressed, your immune system goes down, and you could like get sick easier. And it could also lead up to suicide. Like maybe you just that's like your only way out, and you feel like you need to do that. It could also lead up. It could also have like untimely death. Now let's learn about ways that you can treat your anxiety. Um, the most common ways is maybe exposure therapy, and that maybe that maybe you're scared of swimming. So when you're going through exposure therapy, your first session may be just being maybe looking at a picture of a pool, and then like more sessions down the road, you you get to be next to the pool, you get to splash around, you put your foot in, maybe you start putting your leg in. It gets to a point where you are comfortable being inside the water and swimming. Another common one nowadays is maybe getting an emotional support dog. The dog learns to sense when you're having an episode. Maybe you're gonna get an anxiety attack. The dog goes next to you, and all you have to do is maybe pet it, hug it until you feel better. I just want to say, before I end, I just want to say thank you for your attention and for your time. I believe that young adults nowadays are affected by society. We like we are affected by how we think we're supposed to look, how we think that we need a better job to be successful, and we care more about what is happening in social media than in reality. I hope you learned some facts about anxiety. I hope that you now can look for the symptoms, and and you know what's gonna happen if it's not managed, and what treatments and therapies you can do to prevent it from becoming severe. Start looking out for the signs, and maybe you can help someone with anxiety to help their well-being. Thank you.